What's up, Ragin Nation? My name is Alex Yu, and this is the Ragin Ronin review. What you're watching right now is my spoiler-filled talkback video for The Dark Knight Rises. This is the opportunity for you to discuss about the movie without worrying about spoiling it for other people. Now, I got a lot of stuff that I got to talk about because this is a very grand motion picture. The very first thing I want to talk about is when I first heard about Joseph Gordon-Levitt being in this movie, I was first thinking, is he going to be the Riddler or Robin? He was kind of neither, because when the movie started out and then we saw Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I was thinking, is he going to be Robin? Is he going to turn into Robin in this movie? But then it turned out his character is named John Blake and he's just a cop. That kind of dispelled all that about him being Robin. And then later on, I just didn't even see it coming. I don't know if you guys predicted it, but I totally did not see it coming that he ended up being Robin. In fact, he was Robin throughout the entire movie. Do the math. He's an orphan. He watched his parents die. He does detective work, and he's someone who goes over the head of his superiors to get the job done. So overall, throughout the entire movie, he was Robin all along. And when they actually announced that he was Robin later on, I was like, oh my god, that is so cool. Now, whether or not there's going to be a spin-off movie, I don't know. But most likely, if there's going to be a spin-off movie, I don't think it's going to be Robin. I think it's going to be the Nightwing character. Because in The Dark Knight Rises, he was actually Robin all along, but in a non-costume type of way. And it was actually all foreshadowed, especially in that scene where Batman says to Robin, or John Blake rather, that he should do it wearing a mask. Speaking of costumes, I also like the fact that Catwoman had cat ears when she wasn't wearing those binoculars. When they went up, it turned into cat ears. Because when I was looking at all the promotional photos, I was thinking, why the heck does she have ears? That does not make sense to me. But then I was also telling to myself that I know that Christopher Nolan has something up his sleeve. I know that he's gonna find a way to make these cat ears to be practical. Like maybe they help her listen to things, or it's like a supersonic listening device or something like that. But it is so cool to know that when she flipped it down, it's actually goggles, and when she flipped it up, they just happened to look like cat ears, so it all made sense. What I found was really interesting about this movie compared to Batman Begins and The Dark Knight was that Batman relied a lot on vehicles. It was almost like without the Batpod and without the Bat, he's just gonna be brawling, because that's really what happens in the movie. He was brawling using his fists. He was also using the Bat and the Batpod. But other than that, we didn't see a whole lot of traditional stuff that Batman really does. For example, the use of his grappling hook and also his Bat cape in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. The Bat cape used for bat flight was actually a very dominant tool in his arsenal because it helped him get from point A to point B through flights. So I thought that was kind of odd, or a little bit strange for Christopher Nolan to omit that from The Dark Knight Rises. But I have to admit, the scenes with the Batpod and the Bat were cool as hell. So, you know, I'm kind of mixed in that sense because I really do love those action sequences, but at the same time, it would have been cool to see Batman doing his traditional bat flight through the city, because those are really iconic scenes. With regards to comparing The Dark Knight Rises with The Dark Knight, a lot of people will be asking, which is the better movie? Well, I find they're two very similar movies, and that has a lot to do with the villains. Of course, there's a Joker and Bane, and when you compare the two, they're very different, but actually quite the same, because like I said before in my review, the Joker is more unpredictable, and Bane, on the other hand, he causes fear. He creates fear to the people around him. And they both have minions and people who follow them. And the Joker's minions, they all kind of operate in a kind of a mob crime family kind of setting, because you could get whacked at any time and you won't even know it. As for the minions that follow Bane, they will die for him. They are loyal servants of Bane, and they're willing to give up their own lives for Bane. At the end of the day, Christopher Nolan wanted a villain that can match up to the one that he had in The Dark Knight. And I think he gave us that, because I really can't tell you which is the better villain. They're very equal, but also very different. And they control every scene that they're in, so definitely thumbs up for that. One of the things that I liked about the movie was that there was this kind of, not really a love triangle going on, but I like that there was like this subtle romance between Selina Kyle and Bruce Wayne, because at the end of the movie, it's revealed that Miranda Tate is, you know, a bad guy, right? So that couldn't work out between the two. I kind of like that Selina Kyle and Bruce Wayne had this kind of thing going on. And the theme in all the Batman movies was that he has always had a hard time holding a relationship because of who he really is. So I'm really glad that they put that in. Now I have some questions about this movie. Maybe you guys can answer for me because maybe I missed it, but it wasn't really clear to me. And the fact that I was confused about some of these scenes still did not affect my overall enjoyment of the movie and the score of the movie that I gave it. Now here's some things that I need some answers for because I either missed it or maybe they didn't explain it well enough. But I don't really think they're plot holes because I understood pretty much most of the movie, but these are just subtle things that whether I didn't understand it or not, it really doesn't matter because at the end of the movie I still enjoyed it. So what I want to know is, did Catwoman kidnap the guy at the beginning of who she got in the car with at, you know, when she was a maid at the Wayne Manor party? Because later on at the airport, Joseph Gordon-Levitt arrests her and he mentions that she was arrested for a kidnapping of somebody. So was it that politician dude at the beginning? I totally missed all that. And another thing that I missed an explanation for, and maybe it wasn't even there at all, but what happened to Bruce Wayne's leg? He's been absent for 8 years, so what exactly happened to his leg and why is he crippled? That wasn't explained at all. Another thing is that when Bane first beat Batman and then he ends up in that hole, where exactly was that? There was no explanation of where was that and how they got there and also how he got out of it. Like, did he take a plane to fly back to Gotham City? Or was that hole actually somewhere just on the outskirts of Gotham City and he just walked back? Like, what is all that about, right? That was not explained at all. And also, one thing I didn't like actually was how they explain the passing of time. Because apparently the absence of Bruce Wayne was supposed to be 3 months. And the people of Gotham City and Gotham City PD were trapped underground in that rubble for 3 months. And I'm supposed to believe that? I'm supposed to buy that? Come on, man. So that could have been explained a little better. What have they been doing? And I'm sure some of them would have died of starvation. So that kind of didn't make sense to me. But the one thing that confused me the most was the beginning of the movie. Now, I wasn't confused about the whole point of that scene. The thing that I didn't really understand was why was Bane and those 2 guys caught and who were those guys that caught them? Like, it just went right into the scene without much of an explanation. I didn't really get that, and at the end of the movie, I still thought that whether they explained it or not, it doesn't matter because they got the point across. The whole story flowed pretty well at 2 hours and 45 minutes. Now, to have a further explanation of all these scenes would have made the movie a lot longer. So I think that what they did was fine, but if they had shifted some scenes around maybe and added a little bit of explanation, it would have helped a little bit. And that's really all I have to say in this spoiler-filled chat. Maybe you guys can help me answer those questions. Oh yeah, before I forget, you absolutely have to watch this movie in IMAX. And those IMAX scenes look absolutely amazing. Like, they look so grand and they look beautiful in that high resolution. But one thing that kind of like annoyed me a little bit was how it jumped between IMAX and not IMAX. You'd have this like grand scene and then it'd go to dialogue and then those black bars come out and then it goes back to that grand scene, the IMAX scene, and then you'd go back to dialogue and then the black bars come out. That was kind of annoying because in the IMAX scenes, the resolution is really crisp and clear. When it goes to the standard widescreen scenes that are not in IMAX, it goes to a lower resolution. And so that kind of bugged me a little bit, but it still looks awesome and I commend Christopher Nolan for doing something very ambitious, and that is making the world's longest IMAX movie, like feature-length film in history. So definitely awesome, and you have to check it out on IMAX because of that. Anyways, if you guys can help me answer some of those questions, let me know in the comment section below. If you have something that you want to talk about that is spoiler filled, leave those questions or whatever it is you want to talk about in the comment section below. My name is Alex Yu, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. As possible, but she added more to it, and a huge part of that has to do with that her personal story was a lot more mysterious. Michelle Pfeiffer's version